The natural world is where our relationship with materials began. With stone, iron and wood, we made everything from tools to musical instruments. Gareth Ballard is a luthier, a craftsman of wooden stringed instruments, but he specialises in the ultimate in musical craftsmanship, the violin.
The violin's an amazing instrument, really. One of its features is it can sound very much like the human voice. You can really make it, scream. Or you can get real nice deep power notes. If you're a good player, that is.
Gareth is a traditional craftsman, but he embraces new technologies. Now, he's going to be taking on a new challenge, one that will really take him to the frontiers of modern science.
What I want to do is make a violin using new materials and technology.
The material he'll be using is thermoplastic polymer, and the technology is 3D printing. Can Gareth produce a beautifully sounding violin from a material that's as far away from natural wood as you can get?
To try and capture the tone, which is something that people have fallen in love with, will be very challenging.
Even more challenging because the violin will be played in 4 weeks' time to a live audience. Una Palliser has played on some of the biggest stages in the world. Her music ranges from classical and folk to gypsy.
Hi,
Una.
come in, nice to meet you.
You too.
I think when you have a really good violin, it doesn't just do what you have in your head,
Yeah.
it also gives you inspiration and it gives you something. So it's really, it's massively a relationship between you and the instrument.
But will Una trust in Gareth's crazy scheme?
So, Una, how would you feel about testing out our 3D printed violin when
I'd
we're
love
finished?
to do it.
Do you think you would be difficult to please as a violinist?
Yeah, I do.
Great.
But can Gareth deliver a violin good enough for Una to play? Reputations are at stake.
It doesn't matter what the limitations of the instrument are, it's going to reflect on me.
For traditional violin maker Gareth Ballard, his craft is a constant process of learning.
You learn from every instrument you make, so it's an ongoing development process for every maker.
But making a 3D printed violin, Gareth is on a whole new learning curve. Today he's come to Warwick University, a leading centre for 3D manufacturing. He's going to be making the most important decision in the whole process, the material that they'll use.
You can use a range of materials from polymers, plastics, metals and ceramics mainly.
Professor Greg Gibbons is a materials scientist and 3D printing expert.
Well, the way I see it, Greg, is that the sound of the violin is defined by its shape, design, and the material used. How close are we going to get?
I mean, the shape's no problem.
Yeah.
You know, we've got that. The scan is accurate, the building's accurate. Mimicking the material is going to be the really big challenge to get that to sound acoustically the same.
Yeah.
I think a very, very big challenge.
Gareth is close to deciding on a material, but he needs a second opinion. His friend Filippo Pratani is a fellow violin maker.
These are 3 samples of the plastic that they can print with.
Right.
Which one would you rather make a violin out of?
Okay, let me feel them. I'm not sure. It's very heavy.
It sounds horrible.
It's a bit dead.
It's really dead.
This has got a nice ring, though. It's got a long ring. Between these two, I would probably pick this one. It feels the stiffer to me.
Even though Filippo chooses the same ABS polymer, Gareth is still racked with doubts.
I don't think it's ever going to be stiff enough. Just hope it doesn't collapse.
To begin the process, Gareth provides the violin to be scanned. With over 3,000 individual images, they now have the computer model that they'll be working from. And now it's time to unveil the CAD on the big screen.
We've actually got all the graining. That is the accurate graining. We've managed to
the actual grain
Yes,
of the
it
wood,
is.
is it?
It is indeed, yeah.
If you had a Stradivari, you'd be able to recreate a material that would behave a little bit like that.
You need to do a lot of physical testing of materials and a lot of physical development processes to get there, and it's certainly in the time that we've got, so there's no chance of doing that.
So, Mark, realistically, what do you think we might be able to achieve by next week?
One thing's for sure, you're giving us a real challenge in the time available, and we'll certainly do our best.
Right now, the chances of making a plastic violin that sounds good aren't looking promising. For Gareth, the sound of a violin is about the wood it's made from, and for him, it's spruce every time.
The wood plays a very important part in the construction of a violin, and this wood is very important because there's lots of long tubes going down it, which makes it very resonant.
The tubular hollows in the spruce give each of Gareth's violins their strength and flexibility.
It's a lot stiffer in its length than it is across the grain. For me, that's a very important feature because it makes the whole top plate vibrate in a very particular way, which will give accent to certain harmonics and resonances that is what makes the character of a sound.
So would the ABS polymer sound better if it had a similar internal structure to spruce? At this stage, the computer design can still be changed, so Gareth sends an email to Greg at Warwick.
What I suggested was to put tubes going through, you can see them here. If you imagine putting lots of straws together on a flat surface, let's say, they would be a lot stiffer on their length than they would crossways. The idea of this is not necessarily to make it resonate better, but to make it resonate more like a real wooden violin.
Gareth will find out whether his plan has worked in just 1 week's time, when the violin is played to a live audience. For violin maker Gareth Ballard, it's a big day. The violin he's been working on with scientists from Warwick University is about to be printed.
It's away, it's doing the first layer.
Following the digital design, the printer builds layer after layer of white ABS polymer.
So how long will it take?
Around about 24 hours or so to build this violin. So how does that compare to you making a wooden
It's a
violin?
little bit quicker than me. I mean, it'd take us about a month. It's not quite what I imagined. I feel a little bit sceptical. I think we're going to fall quite far short of sounding like a real violin.
Today, the 3D printed violin finally arrives at Gareth's workshop. Now, the moment of truth. Has his plan to improve the sound and strength of the violin worked?
So this is the moment. Wow. It feels remarkably strong, I must say. It almost feels like we've been underestimating the stiffness of this material. It doesn't feel like it's going to collapse. And the neck, what I've been worried about with this is that this would be too bendy, but I mean, the neck, it might just about manage it. It doesn't sound un-violin-like. I expected it to ring less than that. It's like a magical world. It is, it's like a snowscape. I can't quite work out what's going on. But yeah, interesting. I must say, I'm probably pleasantly surprised. I feel happier than I thought I was going to, I must say. That's the beauty of being pessimistic.
The violin, printed in a white ABS, looks promising to Gareth. But it's all about the sound. Professional violinist Una Palliser has her own concerns.
I'm a bit nervous. And in the gig, it doesn't matter what the limitations of the instrument are, it's going to reflect on me. I'm going to have to be the one who somehow pulls it off.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you? Nice to see you.
You too.
Again.
Mwah.
I want to see inside.
What do you expect it's going to sound like?
I don't know. I think we should just open it and see. Oh! Oh my God, it's white.
Wow, gosh, it looks like wood though.
It looks like something from a museum.
It has got a funny texture on it, hasn't it?
Let me smell it.
It's having the smell test.
Wow.
Okay, ready?
Okay, drum roll, go.
It's like a viola. It kind of does pretty much what I wanted to do. I think you've done a really good job.
Wow.
Wow.
Amazing. Totally.
It's way better than I was expecting. I think we can do a gig on it and it should, you know, we can play some actual tunes.
Yeah.
The violin's big test will be in front of an audience in 2 days' time. Played alongside handcrafted instruments, will it stand up to the scrutiny of a discerning audience?
Now I'd like to introduce sort of a special guest, a 3D printed violin. I'm a bit nervous about playing it in a gig. Shall I show it to you? Wow! So it looks like it's been painted white, but actually it's made of plastic. And this is actually the colour that it came out. So yeah, we'll give it a go.
Don't you go. I got a space in my bed full of words unsaid. Got a bullet in my gun full of things undone.
It's been brilliant. I do feel proud of what I've done and how it's turned out. It's been a voyage of discovery. It seems like there's a lot of possibilities for it.